I'm gonna hit you something uncomfortable. Your course is just not selling. And it's not because you're not working hard enough, it's not because you're not smart enough, it's not because the market is just too saturated. No, I mean, you're just playing a game that you never really learn the rules to. You're stuck inside of a loop where you're constantly trying to tweak your course, thinking if you just make it better, then the sales will magically appear. But here's the real kicker. The top 1% of creators are running laps around you, with half the content, zero polish, and triple the sales. And they're not outsmarting you, they're just out executing you. But here's the good news. I'm gonna show you exactly how they're doing it. No hypotheticals, no recycled YouTube content, just real frameworks, real results, real proof, so you can do the exact same thing yourself. All right, so I made this Miro board. I honestly just wanna jump straight into it, give you guys a ton of game, ton of value. But there's a lot of mistakes that I'm seeing these course sellers or creators or info product slingers just making at the end of the day. And the biggest one that I'm seeing is that most people are just building their courses completely backwards. It sounds harsh, right? But the reality is for a lot of these creators trying to break into the info product game, into the course game, they start by filming content. They'll record 20 videos, they'll throw it into a Notion doc or something, and they just sit there scratching their heads wondering, how do I even sell this in the first place, right? And that's kind of where everything falls apart. Because the question you should be asking isn't, how do I sell this? The question is, how do I actually make sure that this offer is gonna actually convert, right? It's gonna get buyers in and get buyers good results at the end of it. The top 1% of creators, they don't even think about recording content until they've proven one thing first, and that's their offer actually fucking works, right? And that's what changes everything. They spend time understanding their market, refining their offer, and testing their messaging before actually creating content. And that's why their courses are so successful. They've built it on a proven framework, right? And it all starts with something that I like to call the core outcome. It's kind of like the North Star. It's the transformation that your audience actually wants. It's not some like vague benefit, not fluff about motivations, not some fancy buzzwords that just sound good in a sales pitch. Like, I'm talking about a real transformation. The thing that gets your audience to say that I need this in a way, right? And so here's a few outcomes of what that could actually look like. It could be, I help beginner closers go from 0 to their first 5K commissions in 21 days. It could be, I help women drop 15 pounds without counting calories or stepping foot in a gym. I help brand new traders go from complete confusion to funded with 50 grand in a matter of 30 days. It's a core outcome. It's something that's specific, it's measurable, it's the single promise that drives everything else. The content, the marketing, the sales pitch, like everything, right? And if you don't know what your core outcome is, you're not really ready to build your course yet. And once that core outcome is clear, then we can focus on something that I like to call offer first building. And this is honestly where most people fuck up. They just get tripped up on this part. They start creating content without actually considering like what their market or their audience actually wants. And so you should be testing your offer first before you even build anything. You can do DMs or stories, or you can test on calls. You can just sling the program and just get the proof of concept before you actually do any heavy marketing. Because as long as you validate those results first, you have the foundations for success. Forget about the course, just focus on the transformation at hand. Now, here's the next crucial shift that will honestly just change how you think about your course. The content is not the product. I know it's a tough pill to swallow, especially when you've invested so much time and energy into creating these videos and the modules and the training materials. But the reality is nobody cares about your 30 videos. They really don't. The shift is going completely away from video course content into actual hands-on one-on-one help. They care about going from pain to outcome in the shortest, simplest way possible. And most courses they're just too long, they're too complicated because they're designed to teach people and not really to convert. But the top 1% of creators, they design their courses to deliver real results faster than expected. And that's the key to success. So here's the thing, like when you're building your course, ask yourself, how can I deliver this result in a way that's more direct and as efficient as possible for the mentees and the students that are getting inside? If your course is packed with extra information that just isn't really necessary, it isn't helping their audience, it's not really serving them. Just cut the fluff out, cut the bullshit out, and focus on the results at hand. Focus on the pushing needle activities that's gonna get them from point A to point B. Okay, so here's where most creators really just fall off the cliff. They wait until launch to provide anything, to prove anything, right? They go silent, they're building their course for 6 weeks, and then suddenly shout from the rooftops like, hey, I'm launching my course, it's ready, it's available. But they're sitting back and they're kind of just wondering like, why is nobody buying? And the truth is, I mean, the top 1% of creators, they're proving their offer long before they actually launch it, right? You know, before the offer even drops, they're posting screenshots, they're doing voice notes, you know, quick story updates to showcase real results. They're setting the market with proof in a way, right? And you might be thinking, I mean, that sounds like a lot of work before I'm actually launching something, but it works. Trust me, it works. I'll show you later on that it does work, but this is what I call the proof engine. Every single day, you should be showing your audience the transformation in motion. You know, getting somebody from point A to point B, even if it's yourself. It doesn't need to be a full-blown case study, but it could just be some little updates, right? A student that hit their first sale, a client DM'd you freaking about the results that you got. You know, someone making 4K or 6K or 7K or whatever it is from a tweak that you suggested. And the thing is, I mean, this lets people imagine what's actually possible for them. You know, it gives them the belief of curiosity and results, and it does so without needing any complicated sales process or you know, full-blown webinars or anything like that. It just provides them real proof. And so here's where things get interesting too. You know, one of our clients before, he made this exact shift. His name was Hudson Cosper. He did high ticket sales. He was doing about 5 to 6K a month before we stepped in and started working together. And in the first 30 days, we did 133K, which absolutely crazy. You know, changed his life, changed the whole trajectory of that business. But we didn't really have to do any fancy funnels, no email sequencing. We just provided proof. We showed all the student wins, and there was people that were coming in left and right because of that. Another client, Morgan Hope, he was stuck at about 10K a month. Again, in the first 30 days, we scaled him to about 60, 70K a month, purely just by providing proof and showing people that it actually works. So that's what I like to call the accidental close. It doesn't feel like selling, but it converts like crazy. And the reason this is because it doesn't feel like you're pushing anything on them. It just feels like you're flexing or showing the actual truth of it, right? Showing them the possibilities, and they can decide if they want in or not. And this is a game changer too, because once you start showing real transformations in action, you know, on your social medias, in your DMs, and through your posts, like, you'll see your audience begin to pretty much just close themselves. They'll see the value without you having to sell them on it in a way. All right, so let's talk about personal branding, because personal branding is it's not optional anymore. It's a necessity. And if you want to have a good offer, the backbone of that is having very, very good content. People don't buy information, they're buying the transformation, they're buying into people at the end of the day. And this is a hard truth for a lot of creators to face, but it's essential to understand. You know, your content will not sell if people don't trust you. And if you think about it, if your content isn't showing your thinking, your experience, your different worldviews, your mindset, your motivation, your actual voice in a way, you're not going to be able to convert, right? You could have the best program in the world, but if nobody feels like they trust you or they fuck with you or they like you, then it's a wrap, it's game over. So here's what that means for you, right? Be real, go live, you know, show behind the scenes stuff, share your thought process, talk in your own voice. I mean, don't try and be some polished version of yourself. Just let people see you for who you truly are. You know, doing the work, not just pitching them on some product. And this builds a level of trust that no fancy funnel or email sequencing could ever do. All right, finally, let's address the elephant in the room, which is audience size, right? And if you're sitting there thinking, you know, I don't have 50,000 followers, that's kind of a good thing, because you shouldn't. And it's better if you don't. The whole idea that a big audience is better is completely overrated, is completely saturated. You know, what really matters isn't about how many people follow you, it's about how many people actually trust you, right? That Hudson guy I was telling you about that we scaled to 130K a month, when we started working with him, he had maybe 1,500 people subscribe to him on YouTube. And the thing is, it wasn't about the follower count, but he had that proof engine working for him. He had people that believed it worked, they knew it worked, because other people in those exact same shoes were able to do it too. You know, the people winning right now, they aren't winning because they're better creators. They're winning because they know how to package proof, simplicity, and clarity into their offer, right? They're building six-figure machines literally just in the DMs while everybody's chasing likes and vanity metrics, but that just doesn't work. So if you're a creator who's sitting on expertise that's just not converting, this is for you. The new wave of creators isn't focused on building courses, they're focused on engineering these outcomes. They're mastering the art of showing proof, simplifying their offers, and building real trust with their audience. That's the skill right there, that's the real game. And if you want help implementing all of this, building the backend systems, integrating that proof system I talked to you about, refining your offer, taking care of that sales process as well, DM me on Instagram, I'll help you out. But I'm only working with people that are very dedicated and are ready to take action. But even if we never talk, you have the playbook now. The old game is dead, the funnel bro era is long gone, and what's replacing it is much simpler, much faster, and much, much more profitable. The truth's out, and now it's on you. Are you gonna keep selling courses, or are you gonna build a system, a machine that's gonna sell itself?